Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from the emergency room where Brandon Olmsted is being treated for road rash after his failed attempt at sandworm surfing. I mean, if both harnesses aren't in unison, Brandon, it ain't working.
You can't say it was a fail. I'm alive.
You weren't eating.
You are alive.
That's a good start, man.
You got blasted into the sand, Brandon. It was not a very dignified landing either, I have to say.
Look, that's only because I flipped both birds at you as I went down, man.
Okay, yeah. Focus on the task at hand. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody.
Me focus.
He made it to the show.
I can't see anything. There's sand in my eyes.
Exactly. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And let's just introduce our guest right now. Let's not waste any time. Visiting correspondent Allie Diggs.
Hello.
That's pretty lame, Allie.
Sorry. Hello.
I know you can be loud, but if you're new to Geek Tank Radio, Allie is really one of our trusted board members. What would you call her? Advisor. She wears many hats for the Memphis
What do I call Alyssa Diggs?
Yeah.
The heir apparent to MCFC.
Okay, yeah. Allie, you've been with us since you were, what, like 12? Something like that?
Not 12. 16.
Okay.
I volunteered at the convention when I was 16.
So you've been with us for 11 years now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Allie's here. She's a staple at the convention. She's a calm during all of the storm. You know, you always keep your head, Allie. For a young lady, you know, you're not very. You keep your emotions in check.
Thank
I hope you
so
don't
much.
mind me saying that, but
because I'm riddled with anxiety.
Okay.
I've already thought about all the worst things that could happen, so I feel very prepared
so
for
she
any
buries,
of those things.
Yeah, she buries her emotions where they belong, so they can bottle up
deep inside.
Exactly. Hey, but Allie's here because half of us have seen Dune Part 2. You and I saw it, Allie.
Yes.
Max, you didn't see it, but he doesn't see anything till it's on streaming. But
he's a smart man.
We're going to do a spoiler light discussion with that. So
I still say go heavy spoiler, because when it comes down to it, the rest of us who haven't seen it, we read the book.
Max might, I don't know. Max, are you familiar with the? Okay, he's familiar. All right, fine. Well, Allie, I don't mind going spoiler heavy if our listeners don't mind.
I'm going to say it like this, Joe, and I know it's the same with her as it is with you. When you are unfettered with your opinion because you're not trying to hide things, your passion comes through a lot better.
Well, that's true. You don't have to be too guarded with your thing. And I will say real quickly, Allie, I know you're excited about this, and I know we are too. I've been following the news about Late Night with the Devil. At the moment, it's one of those rare films that's got a 100% score with Rotten Tomatoes.
Heck yeah,
boom.
it does.
The release date is coming up, the 5th? Wait, is it
it's the 22nd.
22nd of March. And where are we going to be able to watch it? In theaters, right?
It'll be in theaters on the 22nd of March, and then it will be able to stream at home through Shudder on, I believe, the 15th of April.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
nice.
we're all excited.
Nice.
And I don't even care about horror movies, but this one looks different and interesting, and it's made by a good buddy of ours.
And our friend is making it.
Yeah, so, I like to think he's a good buddy, but he's been good to us. He's
always been good to us.
Hey, and Allie, it looks like, we're a little late announcing our dates for the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, but I think we can do it next week. So
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
We're excited, pumped.
You don't give her some caffeine. She doesn't sound excited.
I'm halfway through my coffee. Okay.
She needs to down that coffee.
Okay. So we've got that to talk about, but you guys, this is something I have no educated opinion to offer, but there's news. That you were going to share.
Okay,
Brandon,
we're going to go ahead and say a hearty rest in peace to Rooster Teeth, who it was a company that is basically one of the. They were pioneers of the internet when it came to things like, your videos, your Let's Plays, your stuff like that. Everything you see that Twitch is doing now, it started with Achievement Hunter and stuff with Rooster Teeth. Red vs. Blue, Ruby, Genlock, Laser Team. They have
I don't really know what Rooster Teeth does, though.
So Rooster Teeth started off as a handful of friends who worked at a tech company in a basement in Buda, Texas, taking Halo and creating the web series Red vs. Blue. which is vulgar as all get out. It's fun, and it was just basically taking video game footage and then putting voices behind the characters.
Okay.
And that is, that 21 years ago that kicked off and created a company, Rooster Teeth, which is it is a euphemism for a very vulgar insult, which I'm not allowed to say, even though I'm here on the Max.
I remember why I don't listen to, because I went to a podcast, I listened for 5 minutes, I'm like, you guys are being trying to be as vulgar as possible. I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that was just
doing that.
That's
So
just internet culture, and just like internet culture, they've tried to get better over the years. But the one thing that Rooster Teeth never did was turn a profit. And when you fall under that wonderful Warner Brothers Discovery umbrella, if you're not putting money in Zaslav's pocket, you're going away.
How are they connected to them? I thought they were an independent
they
company.
They were independent, and as they grew, people started to show interest. Then they got investors, and then they were bought by a bigger company, and then they just company after company kept buying. When AT&T Time Warner took them over, and of course with the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, you end up under the umbrella of Darth Zaslav. And yes, I know Disney's going to sue them for because he'll take that title. And his whole thing is, if you're not putting money in my pocket, I'm going to shelve you so that you put money in my pocket through tax breaks.
Darth Zaslav's not a bad name for him. I mean, it's kind of a cool, don't you think? I mean, it's a pretty cool
that's
name.
But from live service video games to Acme versus Coyote, we're never going to see a lot of really good stuff because of him. And now he has shelved an entire company. There's 150 amazingly creative people who are out of a job right now because
they're out of a job and they make no money.
Well,
so
they made money, but profitable. In order to be profitable, you have to make 3 times what you're spending. So
I can't say I feel very bad for a bunch of vulgar, whatever guys not making a lot of money. That doesn't really make me sleep.
Here's the thing, Joe.
Yeah.
They were pioneers when it came to internet entertainment.
Okay.
90% of the stuff you watch on YouTube now can trace its roots back to one of a handful of people that started it off, and Rooster Teeth was one of those companies.
All right. Well, we'll have some parting thoughts about Rooster Teeth when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
Anyhow, you'll have to wait. The kids are busy right now.
Oh, is the organ harvesting clown here?
Nah, Rusty comes on Tuesdays now.
I mean, you always got to have a side hustle. I don't fault Rusty. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my scowling friend Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth, who's just sitting there bemused.
You've never had to run to keep him from getting one of your kidneys.
No, that's a good point. Our buddy Max behind the glass, and our visiting correspondent, who I hope drank some more caffeine, Allie Diggs. Allie, I know you can be a loudmouth.
I'm so excited.
Okay,
I love
finally.
being here.
That's more like
He
it.
doesn't realize that the existential crisis has just finally put you into a chill personality.
I guess we shouldn't complain. A calm Allie is very good. But Allie, we love having you here. You are a staple. You are I would dare say you're becoming the foundation of the calming presence of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
You're gonna give me a big head. Get out of here.
Whenever a crisis arises, Allie's there to help put out the fire. So, and hopefully by next week we'll announce our dates. We don't announce anything until it's in writing.
Yeah,
we have the dates locked in, I think, but until it's signed, Brandon, we don't do it.
Well, I mean,
Signed, sealed,
that's the thing. It's like you can have that agreement. You can shake hands. You can go, "Yep, this is exactly what we're doing. Exactly when we're doing it." And until that ink dries, you aren't quite sure that that's 100%. But that's just dealing with business here in the good old Mid-South.
Yeah, so we'll have that hopefully next week. But it's coming up. Don't worry. We'll be here in November.
Yep.
We got plenty of time. But you guys, before the break, we were talking about the demise of a company called Rooster Teeth, which, I got to be honest, I'm not their target demographic for that. But it did give me, you made me think of something, Brandon. This started off as basically a bunch of YouTubers or something.
Right.
Back in the day.
Well, that was the thing. There was no such thing as a YouTuber back when they started.
They maybe
this.
helped create a YouTuber. A bunch of geeks commenting very vulgar, in vulgar terms about video games and things like that. But still, it led to it sparked sort of almost a new genre. But then they start building. You said there's 150 employees.
Right.
They get picked up by Warner Brothers, and now they're being dumped and kicked to the curb unceremoniously. Well, isn't there a little lesson in that? Shouldn't they have just stayed independent?
Well, I mean, you understand that. You're an independent contractor by trade.
Right.
You know what it's like, though. You've stepped into certain things where you've had to, be the employee under a boss. And there's this freedom, and strangely, there's a really good security in being your own boss.
That's right. I mean, it's a risk because it's all on your shoulders, but still, nobody cares about your business more than you do.
Exactly.
Allan, you've been self-employed most of your life, or at least you've had, you're independent to a degree, right?
How do I phrase this? I have been more than willing to trade ample amounts of soul for profit.
There you
I was
go.
gonna say, I imagine Allan is like an elder god. I don't consider him tied down by what we would consider jobs.
And here's the thing.
But here's the thing. Rooster Teeth really set a great foundation. Now that it has been dismantled, we get phase 2. Because guess what? All of those people are not going to go away.
No.
They don't want to stop doing what they're doing. They'll just find new venues and possibly new paths.
But here's my question to the panel, and I don't know this. When you get picked up by Warner Brothers or whoever, do they even own the name Rooster Teeth anymore? Because do they lose your branding strength? And
here's what's great about that. You may not be able to keep the branding of Rooster Teeth, but a lot of the IP that was created under Rooster Teeth belongs to independent contractors.
Good.
Rooster Teeth is selling off 3 of their biggest properties. Ruby, which was the anime style fairy tale created by Monty Ohm, who has he passed away shortly after the 3rd season. And it has continued on through 9 volumes. There's a 10th volume that's was already being worked on when this was shut down. Hopefully, with the investment that Crunchyroll put into them during the last season, Crunchyroll will continue and hopefully purchase it outright, because they've also got a Ruby spinoff kind of called Ice Queendom, which has also been very lucrative for Crunchyroll. Red vs. Blue, which is what started it all, and their final season is in the can, finished. It's supposed to air this spring. We don't know where it's going to air at this point. It may go directly to YouTube. They have a show called Genlock, which actually stars Michael B. Jordan as the voice of the main character, and it's in, I think, its 3rd season. It's one of the other ones that they are looking for a new home for. And then there's the Roost Podcast Network, which most people don't even realize that this is like a network of podcasts. There's like 80 different podcasts in this. And Warner's is going to keep that going until they can find a new home for it.
I don't know, man. I think there's a lesson there, though. Like, don't be too quick to just jump on with the big corporation, because that corporation may kick you to the curb.
That was the thing, is it wasn't so much. They never did do the whole, all right, cool, somebody's interested, let's sell out. They kept a lot of their stuff in-house, and while they were being put out by Warner's, the company itself is being dissolved, but a lot of that stuff will continue.
Okay, I don't know. Is there anything I can listen to on Rooster Teeth? Because, like
Absolutely.
I said, the little bit I heard, I'm like, I have no interest in it. It's too crude, man.
Like, first of all, Ruby would be perfect for you. Ruby's become so popular; they've even had 2 crossover movies with the Justice League.
So what is Ruby?
Ruby is a anime style production that is based in fairy tales that deals with people who are going to a school to learn to be hunters and huntresses to fight monsters known as Grimm.
Okay.
And then it evolves from there.
Okay, well, because as we've learned in the past, the origins of fairy tales are not cute, and they're not family friendly, and they're pretty hardcore. Allan loves that. I mean, it involved death, cannibalism, everything.
And I own all 9 seasons thus far, Joe. So if you ever want to borrow them, I've got the Blu-rays.
Okay, so
you won't have to stream them.
They're a production company. I mean, they're making animated content and stuff. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because, in fact, I think even Max is a fan of Ruby. So, and I just want to say something. Just because you've thrown out the word Crunchyroll a few
Right.
times. That, folks, is a really great channel. I mean, it's you can get it on your Roku TV or whatever. They have basically
And-
that's the home for any anime that you want to see, right?
And
So, I mean,
here's the kicker, guys. If you're a fan of Funimation recently got rolled into Crunchyroll. It's all one thing now.
okay, cool. Well, we'll be following the progress of Rooster Teeth and see what happens in the future.
demise.
But when we come back, you guys, we're going to talk all about Dune Part 2.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
I like being bad. It makes me happy.
I mean, that's true. That's how you start your day, Alan. You try to do one bad deed before you get out of bed, right? I mean, an angry text, an evil look, something, right?
Well, you usually set these things up in advance and you automate the releases.
I don't know.
He
Welcome
laughs as if you're kidding.
back. Yeah. And welcome back to, you got to automate the system. I mean, when you do that much evil in a day, you got to keep track. Anyway, I'm Joe. Welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody.
You blustered
I'm
the
Joe
Joe.
Thorderson, here with my buddies Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth, and our pal Max over there behind the glass, and our visiting correspondent, Allie Diggs, who's a staple. She's a staple in our lives. She's a staple at the Memphis
You
Comic
do.
and Fantasy Convention.
You do realize if you stop saying visiting by the end of this episode, she has to come back every episode.
There you
True.
go. So, hey, Allie, and you guys told us you don't mind. Now, Allie and I are the only ones that saw Dune Part 2 in theaters and everything. Great movie. But you said you don't mind if we do spoilers,
go for
right,
it.
Max?
Go
You don't
for it.
care? Nothing? I mean, Max knows the story. You know the story.
We've seen 4 different versions of the movie already
Yeah.
and read the books.
Okay.
We know how it ends.
We would like to go ahead and warn our listeners.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it or read it and don't want to be spoiled,
Yeah.
And
Come
if-
back and
and
listen
if
to this.
you've never
later.
gotten
come
on the
back and
internet.
watch this. Listen to this half after you go see the movie.
So, Allie, did you see it on IMAX or did you see the?
So I had to see it MXT, which is like one step down from IMAX, I think.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm gonna go see it in IMAX this week probably.
It doesn't. I mean, let's face it.
It
It's
matters
nice, but
to
it's
me.
like okay. But Allie, I want to throw it to you because this is. Did you read the books or?
I did not.
Me neither.
I also had never seen any of the other movies. I saw Dune 1 when it came out in IMAX, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. This makes me feel like what sci-fi is supposed to make you feel like. I don't know. It was just so beautiful. And then I patiently waited 2 years for
And it
this
was
one.
different, and it was.
Yeah.
And once again, this is a different kind of movie. It doesn't feel like. I mean, the texture, the music, the costumes, everything.
It's an epic. It's beautiful.
I want to go ahead and let the audience know when they delayed it from this past fall until last week. She did have a bit of a meltdown.
It was, so much has happened in the world and in my life, and I was like, but at least Dune 2 comes out in November. And then it didn't, and then it didn't come out in November. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And this movie literally picks up. I mean, it's almost like the next day, or maybe
Yeah.
even the same day of where the last movie left off at. So,
Yeah.
and now I'm kicking myself. What is Paul Atreides' mother's? What's the actress name?
Jessica.
Gosh, she's awesome. Everything I see her in, she's great, and she's great in this movie too. So, but we don't do our research before these, but everybody knows who she is. She was in the Greatest Showman.
Yeah,
and
she's
everything.
beautiful, stunning. Love her.
She's a really, and she's got an. She's one of those where if she's on camera, you're watching her.
Yeah, I can
Any
look at her
scene
face
she's
all
in.
day.
Yeah, but let's talk about Paul Atreides because he is evil. I don't know. He's my favorite character in this movie, Allie, for sure.
I think his character arc was really good. Again, obviously, I never read the books or watched the other movie, so I didn't particularly know how this was going to go. I had seen some things on the internet because I don't personally care that much about spoilers, especially for an IP this old. I exist in nerd culture. I was going to know about it eventually, so it's not a big deal.
All right, well, Alan, you read the books, and how? I mean, is he supposed to be a teenager here? Or he looks to me like he's about 20-something years old.
All right. Well, first off, let's get the point of view of the book from Paul Herbert.
Okay.
It is a political novel.
Yeah.
Plain out and simple. We talk about Ant-Man as a heist movie. This is politics.
Oh yeah, this is throughout the whole story. It's
this
a
is
political thing.
geopolitical politics spread across the world, and we threw in a chemical that is rare, can only be obtained in one spot, and has universal implications. So take that for what it's worth from a book written in the 50s and 60s.
Sounds familiar.
So yeah, I can't imagine where anybody gets these ideas.
Yeah, crazy.
Sorry, Al, I got a quick question. In the books, is it true that the planet is basically a desert planet? It's completely covered with sand. At one point, was it a lush planet, and did they ruin the planet by all the mining or something like?
Well, you're catching on to exactly the point of the entire Dune arc.
Okay.
So you just really hit on a huge point that you really kind of got to get. Of the House Atreides has a very lush planet. They're good. They got all this stuff. The Harkonnens went a different route. The Emperor went a different route. But but Dune itself, Arrakis, is this isolated planet, sparsely populated, and it is melange. The product that brings it to anybody's attention, the only reason anybody cares is melange.
Yeah, you'd never want to go there. I mean,
it's hardly where you want it. It would make a great weight loss community or something, but it's not someplace that you wanted to go because it's all this and all that. It's not. It is a brutal, horrible place. It is basically run by biologics outside of the human race. Shai-Hulud basically runs the planet.
Yeah.
And so what you begin finding out is, as you go through all of the books of Dune, is how did it get this way? Where is the water? There is water on Arrakis. How is it controlled? Water is life. As Allie shaking her head. Some very familiar themes here, right?
Yes.
And Paul is the product of this geopolitical system, and he is the heir apparent.
Well,
however, he is also the product of a number of other conspiracies and betrayals.
Yeah.
He's a reluctant ruler, and now he's this movie we saw him, Allie, like
Not
you said.
so reluctant at the end.
No.
Well, it's one of these things. He steps
He's
up.
turned a corner.
More or less.
Steps up is a interesting way to put it.
I've heard people online, of course, bashing. They're like, Timothy Chalamet is a pretty boy. I'm like, I'm sorry, that kid's got some chops.
No, I think he's incredibly
a very
talented.
good actor.
I think the whole cast is incredibly talented. I think a lot of reviewers are saying, and I think it's true, that this is the next generation of Hollywood. These people are bringing people to the theaters. I love Florence Pugh. I love Austin Butler. I love Timothy Chalamet. I will go to a movie no matter what it is to see them in it because I didn't see Willy Wonka, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah, that's a little.
It's maybe a
I need a break on that one, okay?
Yeah.
No, you don't. I'm holding you to it. You got to see Wonka before the end of this.
Hey, I'll give it to him for taking on that role. He could just do all the serious whatever roles, but he's doing a goofy role.
I was like, he carried it incredibly well, and I think they all did so good. It was beautiful.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to shower love on Dune Part 2 when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
I hate these nerds. Just 'cause I'm stupider than them, they think they're smarter than me.
Well, circular reasoning at its best. I can't argue with that.
Me every day.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass and our good buddy Allie Diggs from the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. Just a quick reminder, probably by next week we will be announcing our final dates. Our exact dates, I should say, for the upcoming Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention taking place this November. But before the break, spoiler warning, we just want to let you know we're talking about Dune Part 2. We're not really going too heavy on the spoilers, but before the break, we were just talking about what a really outstanding job Timothy Chalamet and Chalamet, whatever. And the whole cast is just outstanding. Austin Butler, all these guys. The turning point for me, because I've heard this criticism of him, which I think is totally unfair. They're like, he's just some pretty boy. He's the latest fad. I don't think so. I think this guy's got real substance. The moment that sold it for me, Allie, was in the first movie when he goes to the Bene Gesserit, and he has to put his hand in the box. And when he didn't utter a word, but just his facial expressions, when he went from being in agonizing pain to no, I'm beating this, and then suddenly almost scaring her with how strong he was. Yeah, I'm like, okay, this guy's got some chops. Yep. So yeah, but we're seeing him evolve in this one. He's a fighter. He's still likable too. But things aren't so great between him and Zendaya by the end of it, right? I mean,
I was mad for
yeah, I didn't get where that all came from. Like that. Okay, but anyway.
That's a good point. I mean, you really got into it. You feel it. The compliment I want to throw to this movie is movie 1, movie 2 of our buddy David Desmalchin. Is in there.
Before he's killed off pretty brutally.
But everybody in this movie, you can tell, is into the movie.
Absolutely.
They get their character.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, oh, well, I'm going to Shakespearean this. Or everybody went, pretty much I know who I'm playing. I know how I want to play it. And really bought in.
Yeah.
And that really sells some scenes. Because if everybody doesn't look adequately impressed when the worm shows up,
right? Yeah.
You totally wasted all that money on the worm.
Yeah.
When anything happens, the smallest effect happens in this movie, everybody involved is totally in it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You talked about something too. So Austin Butler, who you'd have to almost squint and go, wait, that's the guy that played Elvis.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got a shaved head. He's pale. And what I thought was super interesting was that their planet is under a black sun. I never heard of that.
They filmed it in infrared.
So that because it's black and white, it's like,
right.
But it looks. I've never seen anything that looks
it's
like
because it's in
that.
infrared. He filmed it in infrared, which was really cool. He partnered with I think the cinematographer about it. He did a little interview, which was really good. Dennis Villeneuve, the director, about making the movie, and he talked about that scene especially, and those reverse fireworks or whatever. It blew my mind. It just
is that what those were?
Yeah,
I couldn't figure out what they were. I thought they were things hitting
fireworks.
like a dome or something.
No, that's just what fireworks would look like if you had a black sun.
I guess that's
just sick.
What does that do to? But Austin Butler is a great. I couldn't place the accent he was doing. It almost sounded like a hillbilly accent, but the guy was still articulate, like a royal hillbilly.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what you call that.
He pulled off non-English.
Yeah.
There you go. He pulled off a non-English accent without sounding British.
And you have no doubt this guy will slice your head off, and if
absolutely.
you just look at him crooked. He was doing that to people.
Those little pets. I thought that was crazy, and I loved it. I was like, yes, you just have little human pets that you just feed body parts to. That's hot.
Can we mention the big twist too? I guess you said we can do spoilers.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I didn't see this coming. I don't know if I would compare it to the "I am your father" moment, but I didn't know that Paul Atreides was the grandson of Baron. What's his face?
Bro.
The big fat.
That was crazy.
Yeah, Baron Harkonnen's.
Baron Harkonnen, yeah.
You guys knew that, huh?
Yeah.
Did you know that, Max? Okay, so I didn't know that. Did you know that,
No,
Allie?
I didn't know that. I thought it was crazy. I was like, wow, that's
Welcome to
bonkers.
royal families.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
go
it makes
back to
sense.
World War I and World War II of even Blackadder. They made fun of the fact that everybody fighting everybody was related.
Right.
That's
Well,
what you start to think about.
yeah.
You're like, what is the futility of war, and why
Right.
can't you just get along?
Well, I also forgot that his mom and his dad never married. Like in the first movie, he's like, I should have married you. So it makes more sense to me to realize that she was just, she was doing her job, which was to make babies.
And why does she have writing on her face? Because that was a cool look, but I didn't get it. Were those tattoos?
I think
or was it-
specifically like a Fremen thing, because she became their whatchamacallit.
Their spiritual mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like something that they do. Because you can see it on like other spiritual leaders within their communities.
And I gotta say, whoever the costume designer is
Stunning.
I don't know.
Immaculate.
It's very hard to come up with something new, but every outfit in there is something
No, it was
different.
beautiful, and I think they did a really great job at making it look not like a costume, but like actual clothes that these people are wearing. Because I find in some like Marvel movies, it looks like something I could buy at the Disney store, and
Which is what they want you to do.
They want you to buy it.
It takes me out of the movie, and I'm just like, oh, this is all fake.
It's making a lot of money, right, Brandon? I mean, where are we at with the? It's going to cross the $1 billion?
Easy.
Okay.
Easy.
Well, I like that. I mean, good movie making should be rewarded.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And just when you think movies are dead, we get something like this that comes along.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
And
it is something to see in a theater where they're actually the seats are shaking from the sound and everything.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So, what do you give now? Allie, do you like this better than the first one, or is this?
For me personally, yes, just because there's a little bit more action in it. But I do think, like, I almost view them as one big movie. It's just one big
they kinda
6
just-
hour
You had a
movie.
really long intermission.
With a little 2-year intermission.
I thought it was great. I have to say, I still think I like the first one slightly better, but I mean, this is well worth seeing. It's a really great,
Absolutely.
and now they just got to get through number 3, and it'll go down in geek legend, I hope.
Yeah,
But,
I think it'll be right up there with Lord of the Rings, to be honest.
So,
and I can't
ooh.
wait. I can't wait to binge all 3 of them back to back once a month for the rest of my life.
Pretty
Plus,
powerful
this is
statement.
just a better written story.
Okay, so yeah, so we got to wait probably a few years till the next one, right, or something.
Yeah,
but-
most likely.
All right, well, guys, whatever it is, we can't wait for this. The clock is telling us it's time to get out of here. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Melissa Diggs.
And I'm Allan Gilbert.
And on behalf of our buddy Max behind the glass, I am Brandon Olmstead reminding you, he who controls the spice controls the universe.